السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين والرحمة علينا وعلى الناس أجمعين. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. So, dear brothers, today I would like to address two main points. One of them is a question that has the most important question in our lives, and that is the question of the importance of our existence. Why do we exist? It's the purpose of creation. We know this, we know the answer, but not many people know the answer. Even though that's the most important question, but not that many people actually seek to find the answer and the truth. Of course, we know this because as we read the Quran, we read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. And that means Allah created us for al-ibadah, which is a translation would be like worship. And worshipping Allah, ibadah Allah, it's not just like in praying and fasting and zakat, but in everything. Every action you do actually is a form of ibadah. When you spend your time and your effort spreading the word of Allah, that's ibadah. Even when you just spend your time and effort in being nice to your neighbor, that is a form of ibadah. So everyone should invest great efforts to understand this answer. Alhamdulillah. We have the clue. But how do we present this clue to others? How do we, in other words, spread the message? Because it is an important fact that we should all spread the word according to our skills, of course, and whatever Allah gave us. So Allah said in the Quran, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Which means, among you, let be a group that invite to the good and deny the munkar, deny anything that is not good. Okay. And وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And مُفْلِحُون is the noun from the verb فَلَحَ. And the verb فَلَحَ is, we usually hear صالح وفالح. The verb فَلَحَ in Arabic can be translated like someone who won or someone who was able to achieve something, achieve his goal. So which means like this should be our goal. Not all of you, but among you. But those among you that actually invite for the good, يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, those are al-muflihun. أيضا كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. حديث. So in this addressing to our nation is تأمرون بالمعروف كنتم خير أمة. So you are the best of the nations, and this is conditioned on تأمرون بالمعروف. You order what is good to be done, and تنهون عن المنكر, and you order what is munkar not to be done. So how much did we invest to seek the requirements of our beliefs and to seek the proof, the ultimate proof, as others of different beliefs claim the answer? So which means like we know, we have seen, we know the clue, we know the purpose of creation, and then we have the proof. And so as the Islam is the last message, last eternal message, as compared to other messages before. So Allah, he sent messengers and prophets to other nations. Of course, if he's going to Yawm al-Hisab, the day of judgment, he's going to judge them, then he will send them prophets. That's a condition for judging. So what really makes our message of Islam an eternal and lasting message? And how do we see the evidence? So in the Quran, actually everything is in the Quran, right? So the message is in the Quran. In the Quran, Allah's word came as a challenge for humans, everyone that reads the Quran. So, and this challenge or message for each one of us and anyone who seeks the truth, of course, we can summarize it in the following. One, the first verse in the Quran that was sent to us started with the word Iqra, which means read. So we are ordered, we are commanded to read the Quran. So reading the Quran. But then when you read the Quran, what do you see? Because once you read the Quran, then you have to find the proof in the Quran. Then there is not just to read and take it as is, but then investigate. And this came in the ayah أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. I'm trying to explain the word يَتَدَبَّرُونَ from the Arabic to the English. But يَتَدَبَّرُونَ which means like the way we think as human beings, our brain works. Sometimes you read something, you go over something, and then a question comes to you, and then you say, oh, okay, wait, maybe I didn't understand it. So you go back and you read that again. And that is the tadabbur in the Quran. So in the Quran, means that you don't like read it sequentially, like from one cover to cover say, okay, I read the whole Quran, but you're asked to يتدبر al-Quran, which means like sometimes you're going to read something and then a question comes to you and say, oh, I read something that is related to this in a different surah or a different ayah, and then you go back to it, which means like you are seeking to understand the Quran. Then another ayah, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. So these are the challenges here. So if the Quran was from anyone else but Allah, you would have found a lot of contradictions or things that are different in it from one verse to another verse. اختلافا كثيرا, which means like اختلافا كثيرا, like anyone would have been able to see this. So read the Quran, investigate, and then if you don't find any differences, if you find differences, then and that is the challenge. Don't find the differences, then definitely this book that you have is a holy book. It's not like the other books. And then the conclusion actually is, we can see it in Surah Al-Baqarah as we start, like ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This book, the Quran, this message is لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There's no question about it. And this is what's really different from all the other messages. So this is how the message itself was preserved, right? Allah said, so in this, what is meant here, it's not just the Quran as a word that has been preserved. But we know that it has been preserved, right? Right now, any one of us, you can within, let's say, a trip within like 1 hour, you can find several Muslim that actually memorize the Quran. So that is one way of hifz the Quran, word, right? And you will not really find this with other messages. What's the most important thing is not just the preservations of the Quran itself, but the preservations of the language of the Quran. Over here, I'm going to say, like, I'm going to bring in something like the Arabic. So when we say someone is an Arab, Arab is not an ethnicity, right? Arab mean we have brothers that come from Africa, we have brothers that come from Malaysia, Indonesia, we have brothers from all over, but mainly the people that really speak the Arabic, they are basically from Morocco all the way to Kurdistan in Iraq, and then some in Turkey and down. And these are different ethnicities. They're not the same. So some of them are like from Africa, and then some of them are Caucasian. So Arab refers to someone who understands and reads the Arabic language. And this is the important thing. So the language itself, the Arabic language itself was preserved. Not just the Quran as a book, but the language itself. And this is the important thing, because if we go back to other messages, we find that the language that these messages came in, the language itself actually is non-existent, or it changed so much. And that is a very important point here. So if you go back and you read just a few hundred years ago, and you read like from the English literature about Shakespeare, and you read and you find like you don't really understand what he meant. It's very much different. The English language evolved, the words evolved. It is much different now. But if you come to anyone who is an Arab, he has the Arabic language, he can read the Quran and he can make a lot of sense from it. Words that were used more than 1,000 years ago, we still can read it and we still can understand it. And this is the challenge actually of the preservation of the Quran as a word and the meaning of these words. And sometimes when we don't really understand certain words, what they mean, the meaning of these certain words, the Arabic language was preserved through poetry. So at that time, the knowledge of the Arabic language was so great to the point that a lot of people in what we call at that time Asr al-Jahiliyyah, they actually had like really long poems, and these poems, they were called al-mu'allaqat because they like hanging. They used to hang them on the wall of Kaaba. You know, this is my work, this is my literature, this is my production. They were very proud of it, and this actually helped in the preservations of the Arabic language itself. It doesn't happen with other languages. So what I really want to say is, as we here, especially when I address this one, I address it to the young generation, and I would like to know, I address it as well for the older generation, just remind them of this. Our message is different. Our message has been preserved. Our book is different. Our book actually invites us, challenges us to prove that it is not holy. And then once, of course, no one was able to prove otherwise, thus it is a holy book, which is the conclusion, which is what we read in Surah Al-Baqarah at the beginning. So all of us, please, just when you go home, try to read more. You try to listen more. There's so many, you can find a lot of video clips, you can find a lot of scholars talking about these things, but this is important. We should be very, very sure of this. And every one of us, because on the day of Hisab, it's a little bit different than when we say the day of judgment, right? The day of judgment in Arabic will be Yawm al-Qada, Yawm al-Hisab. And Yawm al-Hisab is very important. Difference I will mention it in a little bit. Everyone will be asked individually and not collectively. Okay? And as I mentioned in the initially, like ummatun yad'una ila al-khayr wa yanhauna 'ala al-munkar is another ayah in Surah Al-Zilzala. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا. Which means this is, and we can say it like it's more like it's the day of accounting, not just the day of judgment, the day of accounting. So everything, every good deeds, your good deeds will be counted, and whatever you have done bad again will be counted, and based on that you will be judged. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Dear brothers, as we are living here in this society, and we need to we would like to be on the donor al-khayr. So we have to actually present our knowledge to other people. There are a lot of people out there that actually would like to know more about Islam, but this one actually starts with us, as each one of us has to consider himself an ambassador for Islam. You should try your best to show that you are a good Muslim. Just by even just showing to your neighbors that you are a good Muslim. Your neighbors know that you are a Muslim. And how do you show them that you are a good Muslim? First of all, show them respect. You show them compassion. You never let them see anything that's good, that's bad from you, intentionally or unintentionally. You have to be very, very much careful about these things, what you do. And even if they did something that's not good to you, you don't do it back to them, right? You don't. This is not the way a Muslim should do, right? A Muslim, so remember, if a Muslim, something bad happened to him, he has to, what we say, he has alayhi bis-sabr. So which means he should have patience. And just by showing this to your neighbors, they're just going to look at you with respect. And then, of course, since you are an ambassador to Islam, then they say, okay, you are doing this not just because of you as a self or as a selfish person, but rather because you are a Muslim. And this is how we can make them actually understand our religion, which calls for good deeds and for worshiping of Allah. That's how we can make them see that. So a lot of important things in showing our neighbors what we are, showing the people around us what we are, and actually proactively contributing to our community. So our community, the place we live in, all of the people surrounding us, we would like to see that as a better community. And actually, we started to see certain of these, where in certain neighborhoods in large cities in the US, where crime is high, certain neighborhoods actually, Muslims started moving in these neighborhoods, and then crime started going down. And this is one of the things, like, just can people look at Muslims and see that, yes, we are a people of message. We are people like who perform risala. That's what we are. And our message is for us, for our community and everyone around us. Okay? And the ultimate is going to be, of course, spreading the message and the word of Allah and worshiping Him. So let me just mention this as a final note. So a lot of us here these days, we hear about jihad and the meaning of jihad. And of course, this is, I think, for the time being, it's like greatly misunderstood. Al-jihad is the noun in Arabic language, which comes from al-juhd. And al-juhd means like working very hard. So when you work very hard for the spreading Allah's word, that is a form of jihad. When you worship Allah and you worship Allah, where you really put a lot of effort, that's a form of jihad. Jihad can be in the form of actually, if you have money, giving money, and not just a form of zakah. You are requested to do that. And even if you don't have much money, right? I mean, if you have just like $100 in your account, you give like $2, that from $100, that's just 2%. It's just compared to someone who has like 1,000, that would be $20. Even just few pennies. So al-jihad is any form actually where a Muslim strives to do good things and puts in a lot of effort. And of course, all of this goes towards like being good deeds and bringing good towards the community surrounding us and community. In these days, we know that we have the COVID is on the rise, and we should do our share actually of protecting our elderly to start with, and everyone else. Of course, we know that we are all, the only thing that is a fact in a human life is death. Once someone has been born, the only fact I think that we can say is he was born on this day and he is going to die, pass away on one day. Already, I think, actually, so a baby might be born, he might not even eat. He might die before he eats, but he dies. Someone might be born and lives for 100 years, and then after that, he dies. So that is what we call in the Arabic language, because it's al-yaqeen. Al-yaqeen is something that will happen. So, and they said, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينُ. So you worship Allah until the day of you pass. But then we should always be prepared for that day because we don't know what's going to happen. And the preparedness here is in the form of doing all of the requested ibadah from us, which is salah, saum, zakah, and hajj. And then we're preparing for Yawm al-Hisab or increasing our account, I mean, in the bank, but in the bank of al-Hasanat for the day of accounting, for the Yawm al-Hisab. So, Allah, we ask you here to guide us all to your path, to the right path, to the right path of the righteous, and give us the strength that we stay on this path. We ask you to have mercy on us, and we ask you when you test us in the form of bala, that you actually please give us the strength that we pass these tests. Please, we ask you if a test is going to be very hard on us, give us the strength and you guide us through this. We ask you to give us the knowledge to get rid of the COVID and to conquer COVID, and so we can go right back to our normal lives. And we ask you to have mercy on all of these people that suffered from COVID and guide them and give them the strength to go through this. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ومن يؤمن فليؤمن.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى
صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.